Okay, so this video here is the one I mentioned in here. So I'm going to describe this video here, but there's a lot of information in this video that's connected to this trailer, to a particular scene. To understand this trailer and how it's connected to this here, you need to understand my autobiographical story, which I'll touch on in here. And then that particular autobiographical story connects to this song here. And there's a connection to this song here, Shooting Star, and ultimately connected to this song here, Welcome to the Jungle. So that's why I put these 5 videos here. So that's what we're going to discuss. So this is the Last Airbender trailer that's in there. So you notice how that's a circle. And then there's this little little wee thing coming off of it. That little thing there is a representation of Earth. The invisible electromagnetic radiation wave right here that's connected to the star. So that's what I'm trying to connect the hydrogen atoms to. That little wave. So right here, that wave that's connected to the black hole under the star is what I'm trying to connect to. So that's what that represents right there. Represents that line right there. If you were to turn that line this way, there it is there. That line. Shooting up. That's the planet. So there's a reason why it's encased in ice, and has to do with the autobiographical side of the Vision Quest, of waging spiritual warfare. So when you look at that line there, you want to think of that line as connected to that star there, right here. So you want to think of it like this. Because there's a black hole at the center of the planet that forms a magnetic core, and that magnetic core pulls everything in. All the asteroids and ice comets and fungi spores to form the planet. So that's what you're looking at there. There's an invisible electromagnetic radiation wave we can't see. So this is a representation of me. So this here is like when the sun's directly overhead. So here it is again. So that's the diagram I wanted you guys to see, because it's connected to the big Kahuna burger. So he talks about it here, like talks about meridians, which is there's lines that run this way on the planet, and then there's lines that run this way. So he's talking about meridian lines. So where I am right now, that's what it looks like right there. Like I'm running way up here in Canada, and I don't necessarily know how big that invisible wave is. It could encompass the entire Earth, or it could just be like a little wee tiny wave. I really don't know. So here he's talking about subsolar point. When the sun is directly below, or when the planet is directly below the sun, there's a map here with locations of that. So that's what it would look like here. There's no shadow cast down, but here there's a shadow. So here he's talking about shadows fall straight down so they can easily disappear. So the shadows, you want to think of the shadows as being evil, right? Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. So you want to think of shadows as being evil. And if they can easily disappear, and there's an association with Hawaii, and then there's association with the Big Kahuna Burger, one would assume that me running in Hawaii underneath that invisible electromagnetic radiation wave as it penetrates my body can make evil easily disappear. So that's subliminally what he's talking about there. So here is what it looks like in Hawaii. That's a real picture, but it looks weird because there's no shadows there. We're all used to seeing shadows. Subconsciously, we see shadows. But if you saw that over there, you'd look at that and say, that's a little bit weird. So here's a sculpture that's in Hawaii there. Sculpture by this guy here, Skygate. He's called that the Skygate. I wonder why they call it the Skygate. So that's, from the side, it's a representation of invisible electromagnetic radiation. Right here. Look at it like that. So that visible electromagnetic radiation wave is one wave here and one wave here. That's what it represents. Here. That wave there is that wave there. So, Skygate, he calls it, is a twisted shadow all day, every day except during Lahaina noon. So, basically, it means the evil guys that control the creation are twisted, and they're twisted shadows, like evil shadows. They're twisted all day, every day. Except during this one day when it forms a perfect circle. So that shadow forms a perfect circle on that one day in Hawaii. Well, that basically means if I run under the sun, the shadows that are in control of creation will no longer be twisted because we'll bind the all bind the hydrogen, protons, and electrons to the invisible electromagnetic radiation wave, which will turn the tides of war into our favor. So that shadow that it casts here, that perfect circle, it's a representation of a nuclear fusion reactor, which is this here. So this is a UFO, that nuclear fusion reactor there, that creates like a bubble of electromagnetism around the spaceship. So the nuclear fusion reactor design uses 4 rings in a gyroscopic design. You can only create this reactor with reatomization technology. So basically, there's a ring within a ring design. So there's a ring here. Right here. So that inner ring would look like this. So those are magnets. These are magnets. And they hold that inner ring on the inside. And it can begin to spin. Like when you turn it on, the magnets will turn on and off, and then it begins to spin that reactor or that inner ring. As it spins, it compresses the hydrogen right here. So hydrogen gets compressed, funneled down. This is a funnel, so it gets funneled down. At the bottom is like a little hole there, like a little chamber where the hydrogen gets compressed just like a star, and it creates plasma. That plasma gets forced through a pinhole, and as it gets forced through the pinhole, that's what creates thrust. So there's one on the top, one on the bottom. It'd be right here. That's the hydrogen funneling down to the point right here. And then that thrust makes that ring go around even faster. And faster and faster and faster. And then this hydrogen flows in through a little opening right here. So the blue part is hydrogen. So there's hydrogen in that ring, on the outer ring. That's the outer ring here. And then it gets sucked into the inner ring just before the chamber there. Right there. So it gets sucked into there, and then it turns into plasma. And then the only way that plasma can escape our physical plane of existence is through a microscopic black hole. So there's a bunch of microscopic black holes appearing and disappearing, appearing and disappearing, appearing and disappearing to suck that plasma from our reality down to the reality of the spirits. You want to think of that as being a spirit appearing and a spirit disappearing, a spirit appearing and a spirit disappearing. So that those spirits or those black holes appearing and disappearing creates a ring of black hole energy. When they're not spinning, that's what it looks like. But when that thing begins to spin, when that inner ring here, this inner ring begins to spin like that, that's the inner ring, inside the outer ring, well, then it creates a ring of black hole, microscopic black hole energy. So you now have 4 rings of microscopic black hole energy. And that's what that is there. And when you spin those gyroscopic reactors, you create 4 spheres of black hole energy. And that black hole energy, it compresses down on the core. And there's the core there to create a white star. So the plasma or the hydrogen that flows to the core through these entryways here, the plasma or the hydrogen in here forms plasma or a white star. So that's what you're looking at there. It's a representation of a nuclear fusion reactor through this ring here. Basically, it means I need to run in probably in May. That's when that next one comes, early May or end of May, to disable evil's weapons that they've brought here. There's spaceships here on planet Earth that they plan on using against us to create a black hole. That's what this diagram is about here. I'm going to connect these 3 symbols from the trailer to what you just learned about what that shadow actually means. It's a metaphor for a gyroscopic nuclear fusion reactor. And me having to disable it in May by running underneath the sun. So, you may not live in a place where the sun ever appears directly overhead. No, I don't, because I live here. It would appear that that sun, or that invisible electromagnetic radiation wave, it's connected basically wherever the middle of the earth is, or the equator. So here it is here. That's where that, it'll show you where that line is. You see how it passes over Africa there? So I could run in Africa, like through that line there. So you want to think of this line, this is the sun, right? And it's casting something right to the center there. You want to think of this part here as being that invisible electromagnetic radiation. So if we turn my picture around like this, and then look at it like that, so that part there is that part here. That part here is what I want to be running in. This is the visible electromagnetic radiation. So it passes through Africa, and it passes through South America. Then it passes over here through Hawaii. But Hawaii, it passes through there twice a year, I think he said. So what I would want here is I'd want to run in the jungle here. I'd want Africa to cut that down. You guys would have to cut that down, because I don't know how long I have to run to bind the hydrogen to that invisible electromagnetic radiation wave. It could take years, like I said. So we would create like a path here through Africa. There'd be a big, huge worldwide project where we'd have to cut all that jungle down right through there, so that I could run every day across Africa that way. And the same with the jungle down here. We'd have to create a path through the jungle so that I could run every day through that jungle there. There's a jungle here that I have to run through, and a jungle here that I have to run through. And that's what that song here is about. Welcome to the jungle. So there's the song there. You're here. So where are you? Oh, I'm running in the jungle of South America, and I'm running in the jungle of Africa every day, because we've all come together to cut down that forest and run and make a road that I can run through the jungle. And there's even a song that I think it's CCR, right? Run Through the Jungle. Let me look for that. Maybe I'll include that in the playlist. Yeah, there is one. So I'll include that. I'll include that in the playlist after Welcome to the Jungle. Because running through the jungle and Welcome to the Jungle is how we can get rid of evil. Right here. You're in the jungle. That's literally what's in control of creation, guys. I'm not lying when I say that's in control of creation. That's not a term of endearment, folks. That's a term of what's in control of creation. So there's that, and then we do the this other one, right? Right here. But look at it right there. You guys think that's me. That's not me, man. That guy's not real. So I'll include that one after the other one. So obviously that means that I have to run through the jungle. So if I have to run through the jungle, there's a project that has to happen here where we clear out that line through Africa and South America. And then I every day I run in every day your mother and I run in the electromagnetic wave across South America and across Africa until something magical happens. Like until we get a signal from a parallel universe from a advanced civilization, or until we send a signal out, or until UFOs come here. I don't know what it is, but all I know is I have to run through the jungle. I need your help. To do that, I need to remain alive. And that's a worldwide project. That's not something that can happen easily, Like these guys, these are third world countries. They don't have the resources necessary to go in there and chop down the jungle and make a nice pathway where I can run across there every day. Over here, this is the jungle too. So it passes over Indonesia. So I could run there, that continent there. So that's a jungle too. So I'd have to run over in Indonesia. So this video is it's getting long. I don't want to include too much information. So I'm at 18 minutes. So this video will be the video describing where we go here. I'm gonna go back up here. So if I was to talk for half an hour or an hour, you would lose all the information here. So what I'm basically just described to you is this video here and how it's connected to Welcome to the Jungle and Run Through the Jungle up here. So I'm going to put Run Through the Jungle down here. So you now know the situation of what I'm trying to accomplish here by running underneath the sun when it's directly overhead, which is a worldwide project because we'd have to send all the militaries basically down there to bulldoze a big road through the jungle so that I can run there every day. But there has to be safety mechanisms in place. I just can't run through there because somebody could, drop a bomb on me, or they could, if they know exactly. Oh, we know when. We know exactly where he's going to be running. We know right here, like down there, right? Like, oh, he's going to be running down in Africa at this certain time of the year. We know exactly where he's going to be running. So let's just go drop a bomb on him, or let's just go blow him up, or let's go snipe him from the jungle. So it's that kind of seriousness. So I wouldn't feel safe running somewhere where I know that, people could just drop a nuke on me, right? So there has to be, a lot of politics behind the scenes. There's certain factions that would have to have their nuclear capabilities taken away from them. In other words, is what I mean. So that way I could feel safe running down there without being nuked. To do that means, we have to enact martial law over their governments so that the rest of us can go into their countries and make sure they can't push that red button. Then I'd feel safe running down there. But not really, because then somebody could just pick up a sniper rifle and snipe me as I'm running through the jungle there. So it'd have to be a worldwide military project where we send about, I don't know, 100 million soldiers along that line while I'm running along there. So there's 100 million soldiers. Instead of fighting each other around the world, we'd send 100 million soldiers down there and make sure that they're positioned back in the forest, the jungle, 2 miles, 7 miles, so that nobody sitting on a mountain 5 miles away could snipe me with a rifle. That's how serious this is, man. So that's the video I want to show you, but I don't want to talk for an hour and lose all the information. I just want to give you the basic information here of how and why I want to run with that sun overhead. Then I'll get into these other videos after this video. So you now know that there's actual proof in the form of music that says that I have to run in the jungle. Welcome to the Jungle and Run Through the Jungle by CCR. But I'll get back to those after when I get on the next video and then the next video, so that you don't lose track of the information. Because if I talk for an hour about all this information and then you watch all the videos, you'll be like, I forget why I'm watching this video.